Standing on the concrete walkway outside the grand venue, the chilly evening air hit my face as the heavy wooden doors shut permanently. The woman who gave birth to me had just looked me in the eyes and called me a stranger. I stood there holding a beautifully wrapped gift while my entire family celebrated inside without me, completely oblivious to my profound heartbreak. My name is Joanna Vance, and for 35 years, I truly believed that family meant showing up no matter the cost. I spent my entire adult life living thousands of miles away in London, yet I always remained the reliable anchor for my relatives back home. Whenever a crisis occurred, my phone rang because everyone knew I would sacrifice my own comfort to help. When my younger sister Chloe announced her engagement to Logan, I wept tears of pure joy. We spoke on the phone for hours as she detailed the proposal and shared her dreams for the perfect wedding celebration. I immediately began saving my earnings and rearranging my work schedule because missing her special day was simply not an option for me. A few months into the planning, my mother Deborah called me with an urgent request that seemed innocent at the time. She explained that the local vendors required a guarantor with an exceptional credit profile to secure the contracts. Trusting my family implicitly, I agreed to sign the paperwork for the venue, catering, and floral arrangements without a single second thought. As the months progressed, a strange distance began to form between my relatives and me. I noticed that group messages became quiet whenever I joined, and major wedding details were hidden from my sight. Whenever I inquired about the schedule, the responses from Deborah and Chloe were brief and cold, but I dismissed my worries as simple planning stress. I spent thousands of dollars on international flights, hotel reservations, and an elegant dress for the occasion. The journey across the ocean was exhausting, yet my heart remained filled with hope for a beautiful family reunion. When I finally landed in America, my text messages were met with brief, dismissive replies that made me feel like an unwanted outsider. The afternoon of the ceremony was absolutely gorgeous, with music echoing through the air and guests entering the decorated hall. I walked toward the entrance with my gift, anticipating the moment I would hug my sister. Instead, Deborah stepped outside and blocked the doorway with a cold, unyielding expression that instantly froze the blood in my veins. My mother looked directly at me and calmly explained that my presence was not required inside. When I reminded her that I was the sister of the bride and had traveled across the world, she turned to a guest and called me a distant acquaintance. The sheer cruelty of that public rejection shattered my spirit, revealing that I was never truly valued. Rather than causing a massive public scene on the wedding day of Chloe, I placed the gift by the entrance and walked away. Each step toward my rental vehicle felt incredibly heavy as decades of unreciprocated devotion flashed through my mind. Sitting alone in the dark parking lot, a strange sense of clarity finally began to replace my intense grief. Before I reveal how I turned the tables on my family, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel right now. I would also love to know which country you are watching this video from, so please drop your beautiful country name in the comments below. Your incredible support helps me share these powerful, real-life stories with the world. Back in my quiet hotel room, I opened my laptop to review the wedding contracts I had signed months earlier. My jaw dropped when I saw the staggering numbers, totaling tens of thousands of dollars in outstanding balances. The family had excluded me from the celebration, yet my legal signature remained tied to every single invoice. Later that evening, an older relative named Clara Henderson called my phone after witnessing the horrific incident at the venue entrance. Clara expressed deep outrage over how Deborah treated me and validated the intense pain I was experiencing. Her comforting words reminded me that shared blood does not give people the right to exploit financial generosity. The next morning, I contacted every single vendor with a calm and professional demeanor. I explained the situation clearly and officially revoked my authorization for any future payments on the accounts. I requested that all remaining invoices be redirected directly to Deborah and Logan, effectively shifting the massive financial burden back to the hosts. When the family discovered that the invoices were now their responsibility, my phone erupted with angry calls and manipulative messages. They used every emotional trick in the book, appealing to tradition and trying to make me feel guilty. It became glaringly obvious that they cared far more about the money than the emotional damage they caused me. The legal reality of those binding vendor agreements forced Deborah to take out massive high-interest personal loans to cover the immediate costs. The financial panic completely shattered the perfect image she had tried so hard to present to our small town. Watching their desperate scramble from a distance felt like a quiet, well-deserved justice for my broken heart. Chloe eventually sent a message, but her words lacked any real accountability or remorse for the exclusion. She focused entirely on her sudden financial difficulties and how the unexpected bills were ruining her new marriage. Reading her message, I realized that a hollow apology without taking responsibility is just a cheap demand for unearned forgiveness. The tremendous financial stress of paying off the unexpected wedding debt quickly caused severe fractures between Chloe and Logan. They began arguing constantly about expenses, and the secrecy surrounding my exclusion created an atmosphere of deep resentment in their new home. The very event meant to celebrate their union became the anchor that dragged them down. As the weeks passed, the true story of what happened outside the venue began to circulate through our hometown. The carefully constructed facade that Deborah spent years building started to fracture as people learned the facts. I did not have to exaggerate anything because the truth spoke loudly enough on its own to change local perceptions. Unexpectedly, my father Arthur sent a private letter expressing his deep shame and regret. He confessed that his silence during the confrontation at the venue doors was the biggest mistake of his life. Hearing his validation did not completely erase the deep scars, but his willingness to accept responsibility carried genuine weight. Nearly a year later, Chloe sent another message that contained no financial requests or defensive excuses. For the first time, she admitted that her silence was a terrible choice driven by her fear of our mother. She expressed genuine remorse for abandoning her sister, which allowed us to slowly begin rebuilding a real, honest connection. Eventually, even Deborah could no longer outrun the consequences of her actions as the community distanced themselves from her behavior. After 18 months of silence, she sent a handwritten letter admitting her obsession with public appearances had destroyed her family. Today, I realized that wedding was not a loss, but the beautiful beginning of my own self-worth.